This is the Asus ROG RX Falchion low profile keyboard, and it's a low profile keyboard that's interesting enough that it's almost convinced me to swap to low profile, starting off with the design. Now this is a low profile keyboard, so as expected it's really slim. It's also quite compact because it's got a 65% keyboard layout. This is great for, smaller, more cramped setups. It's also great for portability, which this is clearly targeted at because it comes with a little carrying case. More on that in a bit. And it also has, all the functionality you need as a gamer without taking too much space on your desk, so you have more comfortable mouse position. It has a little metal backplate that feels really solid. I think it's aluminium. It's very well built. There's basically no keyboard flex whatsoever, which is really nice. And you do get this nice little piece of glass mirrored finish at the top here that looks really cool. Has the ROG logo, and behind it has a bit of lighting so that you can have some RGB additions to your setup if that's what you so desire. And of course, each individual key on this keyboard has RGB lighting if you're really into those rainbow lights. On the back of the keyboard, you have a power button, a USB area to put your dongle, a USB-C port, a control for switching between PC and Mac layout. Really convenient, by the way, so this means you can use it both for your gaming PC setup and for your MacBook if you use your Mac for work. And a little switch to switch between the three modes of connectivity, the middle being wired mode, the right being Bluetooth mode, and the left being your 2.5 GHz Wi-Fi connection mode.
So at the top of the keyboard, you find a little button and a touch bar that allows you to change a variety of settings. This button basically allows you to switch what this touch bar controls, and this touch bar, by sliding on it, you can change a variety of things from volume to screen brightness. Screen brightness might not really be relevant if you're using a desktop, but if you're using a laptop, it definitely is a convenient nice to have. And how much you're adjusting whatever you're changing is reflected on the RGB light strip in that glossy area as well. So it's not just aesthetically pleasing, it has a purpose.
On the bottom of the mouse, you have a very nice textured finish as well as rubber stands and the kick feet for height adjustment. But if you don't think this keyboard can get elevated quite enough, that carrying case I talked about earlier, which you can use to protect the keyboard when you're bringing it around either with your laptop for work or to a LAN party, you can basically take this up, put it down below, and have even more elevation, which I thought was pretty nice. Now, if you see the inside of this, it's actually built for that because the inside coating is basically covered in rubber, so your kick feet has proper grip inside it and outside it, which I think is a really nice little feature, which gives you a little bit more adjustability, which is always nice. Now, moving on to performance. Now, this keyboard uses optical switches, the ROG RX optical switches. They have an actuation distance of 1mm, which is pretty shallow, which is pretty quick, pretty fast. Definitely not as fast as the Hall effect switches with 0.1mm actuation distance, but this is definitely going to be an improvement over a lot of other gaming keyboards or your traditional Cherry MX style switches. And I think for most people, 1mm is kind of a good sweet spot anyway, since it's so low profile, you're not going to be pressing the keys all that much. These optical switches feel pretty good. They're very smooth and they're already pre-lubed, which is phenomenal. And as far as pre-built keyboards go, this sounds really nice. Like, the stabilizers are basically perfect. The switches, they're quiet, but they sound very satisfyingly clean. And overall, the switches feel good and they perform very well. As for wireless performance, with your Wi-Fi dongle, I basically had no issues whatsoever with wireless gaming. Latency was perfectly fine. You're operating at 1000 Hz and you're gonna have no concerns here. Now, a concern people have with wireless keyboards for sure is the battery life. But the battery in here is pretty big and pretty chunky, and I could basically use this for like 2 weeks of pretty intensive usage. That is to say, I'm using it for work, I'm using it for gaming. I didn't really have to charge it until the end of those 2 weeks. So really, you don't need to expect to charge this very often. Also, these keycaps, despite being low profile, are pretty thick, pretty chunky, and they are double shot. So it's gonna help out with some of the durability of this keyboard if you're concerned about that. Especially because, these switches aren't Cherry MX compatible. So if you're someone who's looking to replace the keycaps, you can't really do that. All in all then, the ROG RX Falchion low profile. Should you buy this? Well, it is not a cheap keyboard by any means, but it can do a lot. You've got tri-mode compatibility, so you can use this with your MacBook for work, and then you can use it with your gaming PC for gaming. It performs well in games, it performs well for productivity because it's wireless and so portable with its low profile nature. It has an excellent design, and frankly, the switches as well as the stabilizers are some of the best that I've felt on a pre-built gaming keyboard in the last 2-3 years. So it really feels really enjoyable with great build quality and great features. It's definitely a premium product, and it does does somewhat justify its price if you're in the market for a premium, low-profile, gaming-focused keyboard. Of course, it doesn't have the latest bells and whistles like Hall effect switches, which I think some people might prefer for maximum performance, but with a 1mm actuation distance and the fact that it's a low-profile switch that doesn't have much distance in the actuation anyway, I don't really think it is a major deal breaker for everyone to have to go Hall effect. So yeah, would I like to see a Hall effect version of this keyboard? The answer is absolutely yes. If Asus is listening, please give me a Hall effect version of this keyboard. I would buy it in an instant. But even as is, I would say that this keyboard is a really compelling option for gamers as well as people who need a portable keyboard. All in all though, I like this keyboard. It looks good, it works well, and it has a bunch of features going for it that I think are pretty cool to have. If you're looking for a premium gaming low profile keyboard, especially one that's wireless, portable, does it all really well, the ROG RX Falchion low profile is a keyboard that I would recommend. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Sorry, I just came back from holiday, which is why I had such a big hiatus.